Jazz, the word jazz, like the music, I had no idea it had an origin in baseball.
Yeah, jazz is a fascinating one because it's such an important word. In fact, the American Dialect Society, when they picked their word of the century for the 20th century, jazz was the winner.
Oh, wow.
And so the early history is has always been kind of intriguing and mystifying because it just starts showing up when jazz becomes the rage circa 1916, 1917 is when you start getting like the original Dixieland jazz band and things like that. And Dixieland, I mean, everybody just assumes it comes from New Orleans. And yes, the music has its roots in New Orleans. But as far as we can tell, the word doesn't come from New
Huh.
Orleans. The word only starts getting applied to the music, as far as we know, when it makes its way up to Chicago. And we have newspaper articles from Chicago in 1915 talking about this new musical form called jazz. And of course, it had different spellings. It could be Jazz, Jaz, Jass, JAS,
Yeah.
and so forth before it sort of got fixed in its spelling. But what various researchers have pieced together is that just a few years before that, in 1912, this same word was being used on the West Coast in baseball circles. There was a pitcher who pitched in the Pacific League. This is before there were any major league teams out on the West Coast, who had a curveball that moved in a funny way. And they started calling that sort of the jazz curve.